Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. Today, I'm joined by Joey Contreras, who's good. Is that good? Is that all right?
You're great. You're great. Yes.
Cool. Thank you. Whose show in the works is coming to Feinstein's/54 Below on Monday, the 18th of April at 9:30 p.m. Joey, thank you for joining me today. Can you start by introducing yourself and tell me a little bit about In the Works, the show, which is coming up, like we say?
Yes. I am a musical theater songwriter in New York, and I am going to be doing my first full headlining show at 54 Below, which is crazy because I have guested and played songs there for the last 10 years, but I've never done a full-length, full show of my stuff there. And this is a concert that's an opportunity for people to hear 3 new shows that I'm working on that are in development, that are also at the same time ready to go, ready to be fully produced on stage and everything. But it's sort of like giving the audiences like little 20-minute trailers of 3 different shows.
So following on that, I guess one question would be, why now?
Sure. Being a musical theater writer, it's you kind of have to have a lot of shows, a lot of balls up in the air, a lot of things are happening, and they're all kind of at different places at different times, depending on, lots of factors. And I kind of was putting a lot of focus on, I love being in the studio. I love recording albums. I love, I come from like a pop, I come from a theater background because I was acting when I was younger, but I'm also a huge pop music fan. So I live very much in that kind of language and behavior, which pop music's a little bit faster, a little more immediate. And, writing musical theater can be a very long process, a long journey to get to the stage. So, I was focusing a lot on recording albums, but then working on multiple shows. And I realized that a lot of people knew my music from my albums, but didn't realize that I had certain book musicals that were actually also in development and almost, at different places of being ready to be produced. So it was kind of, I feel like I'm introducing another side of me that some, or maybe many people might not know. And it's music that sounds different than anything else I've released. And it's also exciting because I think that musical theater scores is a different kind of experience when you're attaching story to it versus standalone songs. And so, it's I kind of was like, now I'm at this place where I have a bunch of shows that are really in a good place. And it was like, this is the moment to really put it out there.
Yeah. And going back to the beginning, I suppose, what inspired you to get into theatre?
I come from a musical background. My mom and my dad were both singers and musicians, and were in cover bands before they had me, and then up to the point where they had me. So I was hearing a lot of music since the beginning of my life. And I think through my curiosity and my passion, and my parents were very supportive and encouraging. And so I really just started doing theater when I was 4 years old. I was tap dancing. I was doing the competitive, dance and everything, and around a lot of instruments. But we're also, my parents are both self-taught musicians. So I'm also self-taught. I had a couple piano lessons here and there, and I had theory later on in life, music theory classes. But I just kind of grew up and around it and was raised around it my whole life.
Yeah. And as you say, it's kind of, the show is a showcase of kind of the 3 shows that you've got. So I thought we'd kind of almost break it down a little bit and talk to them about them individually, starting with In Pieces. Can you tell me a little bit more about kind of In Pieces?
Yeah, In Pieces is my, we're not choosing favorites here, but In Pieces is like, you know, my big baby right now.
Yeah.
In Pieces, it takes a lot of music from the last 13 years of my catalog of music, songs that people may know from previous albums, and puts them in a show with some new music that I wrote specifically for the show. And it kind of is like my answer to a Jason Hart Brown songs for New World, but also with like, but there's still a narrative and an arc throughout it. It's a little less song cycle-y, a little more conceptual musical. And it kind of was something that really picked up a lot of traction and momentum over the last couple of years. And is the thing that, I think that is probably the most familiar sounding of people that might know my music. So that's In Pieces.
Yeah, and obviously then Heartbreakers In Hell, which is I've written down a modernized pop music adaptation of Dante's Inferno.
Yes. Do you know Dante's Inferno?
I don't.
Well, it's a text that it's almost sort of like a fan fiction for Dante, a poet, as he goes of hell and he experiences the monsters and you know, he writes his whole account of it all. And with our adaptation of it, my co-writer Benjamin Halstead had reached out to me about it and had pitched it to me, and he was like, you know, I'm reimagining hell as like New York, essentially, or dating New York. But he's like, I really want it to feel like there are very intimate, almost sort of indie comedy, indie dramedy scene work, but then juxtaposed against this like grandiosity of a Lady Gaga full spectacle concert. And so him knowing that I live in that world, was like, would you want to come with me on this ride? And I was like, sure, absolutely. And it's really exciting because, you know, as our protagonist Dante goes through each circle of hell and experiences a new relationship based on those circles of hell, it really kind of examines, you know, when are you the villain? When are you the hero? Do these kind of pop stars do these kind of like, you know, sins or traits evoke and embody? And I think it's going to be, you know, what's going to be fun about this is that we're going to really be able to bring as much of the production element to it sonically to 54 Below 2, which is going to be fun. So you'll hear a lot of, you know, I won't be having like Gaga coming from the ceiling, but
yeah. Yeah, in fact, I'm going to throw in that anyone that is watching, you can get albums of both In Pieces and Heartbreakers In Hell that are both out now, wherever you get your music, I presume. Then moving on to Forget Me Not, which is obviously an original story that you've kind of done, which is, again, I've written down exploring grief, identity, and kind of how have you kind of approached that compared to the previous two?
Forget Me Not is probably the most surprising of the three. Musically, it's a lot more lush, romantic, haunting. There's some more folk components to it. It's a really epic piece that my co-writer Kate Thomas and I have been working on for a couple of years, and it's loosely inspired by some other events, some weird and kind of creepy and or bizarre events. The bizarre being, we were inspired by an exploding whale that happened in Florence, Oregon. I don't know if you know this, but when whales wash ashore, if they don't, you know, they can possibly explode.
Yeah.
And so there's this whole, you know, story that had happened many, many years ago that we were inspired by, and kind of took some components of that and kind of put it against this small coastal town, this forgotten coastal town, and what happens when this whale washes ashore. And as we're entered into this world, we learn that this town is still recovering from a serial killer case that had happened that went cold, and no one ever knows the answers, and they lost a lot of their community and have never really dealt with that. So it's really kind of asking a lot of questions about how do we battle with grief, how do we battle with our identity, how do we feel like when we don't matter to people, and when are we just being used. It's a really beautiful piece.
Amazing. Well, they all sound brilliant. So, and obviously I've heard 2 of the albums. So, and there is an album, isn't there, coming out? Is it later in the year?
Oh yeah. That's we are going to be hopefully releasing a little taste of Forget Me Not later in this year as well.
Amazing. And now kind of moving on to like the process, I suppose, of kind of how you create your songs. Is it kind of, I guess, obviously like you say, the theatre stuff is probably obviously narratively obviously different to just writing a general kind of pop kind of song. Is it kind of, do you kind of use the story first, or is it the song first and then kind of mold it together?
I think it tends to be story forward, concept forward first. I kind of let what I need, what information, what kind of subtext. I kind of write from an actor point of view as well. I'm always sort of thinking about like, what's the train of thought? How do we let carry things musically, lyrically, accompaniment wise. It's always story forward. But I do love a good catchy melody as well. So I always try to make sure I can balance it a bit, you know?
Yeah. And I kind of like, as you said, like Forget Me Not's kind of like a more kind of like original story. Is it kind of easier to put your own personal experiences into songs as well?
Yeah, I similar also to acting. I have to find myself in whatever character I'm writing for and whatever situation I'm writing for. So once I find myself in, I can kind of walk and talk through the lens of that character. Writing for me for a very long time was therapeutic and was my outlet, was my way of writing out my emotions, like in a journal. And a lot of the music from In Pieces were written more from my own personal experience. And so, but there are always, with the show Forget Me Not or Heartbreakers, there's still a lot of me just in kind of imaginary situations.
Yeah. And is it kind of like easier when you've got that kind of like Heartbreakers, that you've got the kind of text to already go off to kind of, because obviously you've not got to create the whole work.
Yeah. And in that show, and also with Forget Me Not, my co-writers are the lyricists on those projects, so it's still very collaborative. But
yeah, of course,
they're the ones that are kind of coming with a lyric, whether in various stages of being baked, and then we kind of talk and see how both the music and the lyric can inform each other. But yeah, I like to write with writers who are able to, really, I don't know, just clearly know what they want the character to be saying or doing or feeling, and also that they are thinking about what the audience needs to learn about the character, because those are both important responsibilities to balance,
Yeah, of course. And obviously, going back to the evening we've talked about, you're going to be sharing it with some wonderful guests that have featured on some of the albums as well. Kind of how excited are you to share the stage with them live, I suppose?
I mean, yeah, it's no secret that we have, the last couple of years have been crazy. And I was actually supposed to do a big show in March 2020 before everything shut down. And so this is going to be the first time in a very long time that I've been able to kind of come with my whole entourage, my whole crew, where, there's like 16 performers involved in this. This is a big show. So it's a lot of moving parts, but it's so exciting to be with so many of these performers who have been with these projects over the last couple of years. They've been developing it with me. They've been doing the readings. They've been doing the demos. They've been doing the albums. So, yeah, it's very much a family.
Yeah. I guess it's kind of a big question generally, but why do you think people should support new musicals?
I think there's nothing like seeing new original musical theater. I think it's refreshing. I think it's exciting. I think it's compelling. I think it's unexpected. I love theater and music and pop music and all of that. And but I think that producers and should be producing new stories. I think that we should try to scale back on some of the movie musicals and the jukebox shows, and really give musical theater writers the opportunity to present and contribute to the canon at a commercial level, because it's just I think it always ends up being satisfying and successful when you actually look at it. There are more, when you take the time, you take the energy, and you put the money into those kinds of projects, they always do end up becoming successful, or at least have led the way or paved the path for something new and exciting. So I think that we need to not lose sight of how exciting new work can be.
I wholeheartedly agree with you there. You can't beat new shows, something you don't know, like going in blind as well. You can't beat that, going in knowing nothing, then coming out something life-changing, which hopefully all three of your shows are going to do. But another bold question for you. Simply, what does theatre mean to you?
Theatre, for me, is exploration, it's community, it's storytelling, it's asking questions, it's and reflecting on how we live, how we can be better, and I also think it can be dangerous and life-changing. So it's a lot of things.
Yeah, again, I agree. I tend to kind of, towards the end of my interviews, I throw in the quick fire questions. These are more about you generally. There's no pressure on it. Okay. So firstly, what is the first piece of theatre that you can remember seeing?
Honestly, I think the first theater was The Music Man, and I was in it. So I don't know if that counts. I was 4 years old. So.
Yeah, strong. What would be kind of, I know it's always difficult, your favourite piece of theatre that you've seen?
Sunday in the Park is pretty emotionally beautiful and draining, and in a beautiful way. It's I saw a revival of it in the city almost 10, 12 years ago. And then also I saw one with Jake Gyllenhaal and Annalee Ashford. And both times my heart was just fully open. Yeah.
Yeah. What was the last TV series that you binged?
The last TV series, oh my gosh. Euphoria.
Yeah.
Euphoria. Yeah. It's so great.
I've not seen it, so I can't pass judgment.
You need to see it. It's, Zendaya. Zendaya is giving you an incredible performance.
I will get on it, because I know it's on over here, so I will get on that. What was the last song that you listened to, or that you can remember listening to?
I'm listening to, this is so not theater. Charlie XCX is a pop writer, pop star, and she has an album that just came out like a week or two ago, and I've kind of had it on repeat nonstop.
Yeah, the best albums kind of do that. What would be, it doesn't have to be career, it can be just anything, but what would be one thing from your bucket list?
What's something on my bucket list?
Yeah.
Winning a Grammy.
Yeah.
That's on my bucket list.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
What would be kind of either to visit or perform at your favourite theatre? generally?
Ooh, a theater that I've already performed at, or a theater that I would like to perform at. I would love to do Madison Square. I love to play Madison Square.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're big. You got to aim high. What was the last book that you read?
I am reading, The Song of Achilles.
Very good. And if you weren't doing kind of composing and all that, what would you think you'd be doing with your life?
I'd like to be an entertainment lawyer.
Oh, that is good. That is good. And if you could have dinner with 3 guests, who are you inviting?
3 guests. I'm inviting Viola Davis.
Yes.
Britney Spears. And Michelle Obama.
That's strong. That's a good table.
That would be a good time. I don't know what Britney would be thinking, but I think that would be a good time.
Contribute, but that'd be good. What would be the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
There's a couple that I've been given. This is a little unformed and less like a nice, concise thing. But right now, one of my good friends, Whitney Euland, she is been talking about this idea of just harnessing celebrity energy, just not giving into a place of negativity or lack or anything, just kind of embracing your own inner celebrity. Mm-hmm. And I really respond to that. So this is the year of celebrity energy for me.
Amazing. And my final question for you today is simply, why should anybody watching come along to In the Works?
I think that I think anyone who is interested in seeing new original theater and feel like they're on the ground level of something should come and see this show, because there's nothing better than seeing something literally in the works.
Amazing. Well, Joey, thank you for your time today. I hope the show goes amazingly. I hope obviously all 3 shows will be on a stage kind of fully formed in the non too distant future. Hopefully some will come over to the UK. I know obviously In Pieces is kind of, I was obviously reading that it's kind of licensed to be over here, isn't it already?
Yeah, there's been some productions in the UK, and there's one happening in Australia actually right now. So
amazing. Well, you'll have to bring them over. Like I say, bring the rest over. We'll take them all.
Gladly. I would love that.